Living a life of fulfillment. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore. At Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. They come and educate us on different subjects on life. And always we have great guests who come and join us. They come and tell us great things. Today we have a special guest that is here with us who is known as Andy Charles. He's going to be here shortly. And Andy Charles is going to be telling us about living a life of fulfillment. I don't want to take one more minute because we don't have much time, and Andy has a lot. Yes, Andy has a lot to tell us. And so, why don't you join me? And if you have any question, please ask. If you have any comment to make, you're welcome. And we thank you for any feedback that you may be giving us on this podcast. Now, let me welcome you as we go together to meet with our guest today, Andy Charles. Here we go. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Anthony, and how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing super
That's
good.
that's good to hear.
And
That's
I
really
hope
good.
you
Yes, I am as well. Doing well.
welcome
If
to Now Tell Us.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you here. And yeah, I feel honored and privileged to be hosting you on this show today. And I am sure that the people who are watching us and listening to us are going to appreciate this time that we are going to be having here as we get to hear you tell us. Now, I like asking my guests to introduce themselves, and I'm sure that is it's in quite in order for you to introduce yourself. Although I know maybe you're just going to touch at the surface because there's so much that you have going over there. So tell us, take some 2 minutes and introduce us to yourself.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate that, and it is a privilege and an honor for me to be with you on your podcast. Now, tell us. It's like returning the favor somewhat. We are brothers in arms, but I guess now the focus is on me a little bit. Well, my name is Andy, and the middle initial stands for Anderson Charles. So my full name is Andy Anderson Charles, and I reside in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are just 7 miles off the South American continent, bordering on the country of Venezuela. Just about 1.4 million people down here, and you may have heard about our national instrument, the pan, and people like Brian Charles Lara, Russell Latipi, Arthur Bolden, Hazley Crawford, etc. I am a certified development coach. I'm also a transformational speaker, writer, singer, gospel minister, and I have been doing this for about 20 to 15 years, or 15 to 20 years, one way or the other. I guess I probably would have been doing the coaching part for about 15 years, but speaking I've done for about 20 years. Basically, I enjoy meeting people, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy music, I love playing golf, I love playing table tennis, football, cricket. I think I'm multi talented in some ways and gifted in that I could almost play any sport that has a ball in it. But
It's a good
my
one.
great, yeah, my greatest calling, Anthony, is to be able to share what God has blessed me with so many people across the globe. Some people would call it a late awakening. I would call it a timely awakening. And I say that because sometimes we think that life is passing us by and we don't have the opportunity to accomplish the things that we desire to accomplish. But when you begin to realize and recognize your purpose and you accept the quality of the gifts that God has given unto you, like I have, there's a sense of fulfillment and a sense of peace and a sense of accomplishment that comes with it. And all you want to do is just become a slave to it and a servant to the opportunity to share it with so many people. And in this instance, it's about empowerment, it's about fulfillment, it's about self improvement, it's about being able to appear at your best possible self every opportunity you get that chance to so do. I guess this is one. So that's my short introduction for now.
Yes, and as I highlighted to the listener or the one who's watching, that's quite a short introduction. And that's why I would ask, I would advise every person who would want to live a life of fulfillment to go follow up with you after we are done with this show to learn more about you. Now,
Yeah.
you look like you were just born the other day. Sorry for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered that you are a grandfather of five.
That's correct.
Tell us the secret. You don't look that.
There's no secret.
Yes.
It's just clean hands and a pure heart. And I mean, that's not about me. That's not my personal boast. It's what God can do in a man's life when he finds that sort of symbiotic resonance with God, that kind of relationship, that kind of intimacy that you
Mm-hmm.
can develop with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because my firm belief is if you take care of the spiritual, He'll take care of the rest. And even the scripture tells us, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. To
Prosperous.
John, to John and the second verse.
Amen.
My mantra, that's what I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And I have three children, two boys, one girl, and my daughter is the youngest. And guess what? She's the one that produced the five grandchildren.
Wow. Wow.
So there's no secret. It's just a matter of trying to be who God has designed and purposed me to be,
Mm-hmm.
embracing that for what it is, and allowing Him to take care of the rest. And so far, it has been really wonderful and truly amazing. And I'm grateful and humbled by the opportunity.
That's so wonderful. You mentioned something there that at some point in life I was like uh, I identify that I can do this, do that, play the other, sing, and I actually didn't know that you're a singer before. So, because I haven't listened to your music, that calls for me to go and dig deeper into things that I thought that you're so conversant with, that you're so known for, which is personal development and speaking. Now,
Yeah.
I was going to this point where in my life I kind of said, I'm doing all these kind of things. And you use the word multi talented. Like, I know I can paint, I can sing, I can do that. Did you ever come to a point in your life where you thought that being multi talented could be a challenge in itself? It's like you have a challenge with choosing where to focus or something like that.
No, it was not a challenge for me. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why it was not a challenge is because I felt blessed, privileged, and I this is what created me. There must be a reason.
Mm-hmm.
What I had was the right reason and self introspection. You have to search yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come to terms with who you are. Dig to that place where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I feel spirit has just like a coin. The bright light of the world sees
Mm-hmm.
that on the inside of you. And
Mm-hmm.
some people may feel offended by me saying that, but the reality is, you will not know who you really are until you're back at the wall and you do something out of the box, out of the ordinary, out of your comfort zone that you may not have not done or thought about or said before. And guess what? When it happens, after the adrenaline had settled down and you've gotten that cortisol out of the way, the first thing that you're going to say is this: Did I say that? Yes, you did. Did I do that? Yes, you did. How did I get here? Well, the thing about it is this: we all have our monsters that we have to deal with. There's
Mm-hmm.
an old African proverb that says, if you can't deal with the monsters on the outside, how can you deal with the monsters on the inside? And for me, it was about finding that delicate balance between the dark side and the light side, and allowing the light side to interfere with what was happening to the dark side on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's self mastery. That's where transformation takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can become the kind of individual that every time you show up, you realize by personal awareness how you need to show up. Because there's always the question in the back of your mind, Anthony: why am I here? What did God put me here for?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that I'm able to speak so eloquently? Why is it that I'm able to sing like a bird? Why is it that I'm able to write so clear and concise? There's a reason for that. So
Mm-hmm.
find out what the reason is, control your demons, let the light of the goodness of God shine in your life, and then become a servant to the things that come so easy for you, that every time you do it, as you make that investment, you begin to get better and better and better. And when that happens, you open up a whole new window for fulfillment and you get rid of the imposter syndrome.
Mm. Well, thank you for that. Uh, and I'm curious. You found yourself at that dark time, that time when your back is against the wall. Uh, I guess, as you confess that each and every one of us have gone through there, could there be a time in life that you would want to share with us that you were there and what came out of that?
Yeah, I will share a very personal story because there's so much power in it for me. And there are three basic lessons that I would have learned as a result. And there was a time when I was broke, Anthony, just dead broke. I was working for a company, the company went bankrupt, and I found myself in debt way over my head. The only thing that they left me with was a check for $3,000. And that $3,000 was gone in a wind because I had so many things to take care of that I was not taking care of before. Now I had no other choice. Out of work, out of pocket, and I had to deal with it. And I remember clearly that I had this one pair of shoes, a black shoes with a silver tip. I would put on that every day with my portfolio in my hand, and I would walk the streets searching for folks that I can tell about my story and what happened to me and my vision, because I saw myself doing something bigger and better, but I did not know exactly what it was going to be like. I had no idea what was around the corner. And I remember trying to pray every day that rain would not fall, Anthony, because even though the shoes looked good on the outside, there were soles that had holes in the shoes. And I would put cardboard there because I'm thinking, if at least I could protect my soles of my feet, that would be great. But I'm praying that rain would not fall, because if rain fell, whew, that was going to be a big mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went knocking on doors because I had this vision in my mind what I wanted to accomplish. As I said before, I didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out. And when I started telling people my story and sharing my story with them, I saw the light in their eyes go up. They did not understand my vision. They were saying to me things like, why don't you just go and work for somebody? But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go back to that.
Mm.
Things like, well, black people can't do business. And I just looked and I was saying to myself, you know what? Lesson number one, whenever you have a vision about life, don't expect anybody else to have that burden of that vision because that vision is yours. You have to accept the responsibility for that vision. I learned that. The second lesson I learned was that you have to be resilient. Because even though I was down and out, I was broken, and I had one pair of shoes and probably just two pairs of shirts and a pants. Right here in Trinidad, we call that your Sunday best and your everyday special. Because it's the one thing that you would wear whenever you have to go and make an impression.
Mm-hmm.
But despite all of that, Anthony, somewhere in the back of my mind, something was telling me, this too shall pass. And there's a reason why you have to go through this, because there's something that you're being prepared for that is bigger and better than this, but you just don't know what it is as yet. And so, lesson number three was, while you are in the process of seeking the journey to success, to have your vision become a tangible reality, enjoy the journey. Because it's not about a destination, it's about a journey. And I remember I was sitting in my 10 by 8 that I had subletted from a friend who was also subletting. So we in a similar position and trying to pat each other's back. And she was saying to me, so when can you pay the rent? I said, give me 30 days. And I went to the people who the company had declared bankruptcy with, and I said to them, just give me a chance, one chance, because I had built up good relationships with them. Give me one chance. I can go and do all the statutory documents and get all the things that I need to get in place. I'm going to register my own company and I'm going to come back and work for you. Anthony, they believe me. They give me that chance. That could only have been God working on my behalf, because that was against policy as far as business and company procedures and policies were concerned. And I sat in that 10 by 8 and I began to put numbers together. And I'm thinking, Lord, I'm going to have the opportunity to make my first payday. What am I going to do? I have no money. I knocked on every door. No one gave me a positive answer. I had meetings with bank managers, but I had no collateral. I had no security. I had nothing to give them so they could give me something in return. That's just how it was. And as I sat there, I remembered that I grew up in a home where my father was a Baptist minister in the church and my mother was a secretary in the church, and they taught me how to pray. And I started to pray. And as I started to pray, it was if it was as if this single total voice, and I'm beginning to feel a passion now as I'm speaking about it, was saying to me these specific words: find 10,000, find 10,000, find 10,000. And I started doing the numbers, and this idea came into my mind. Go to your employees and ask them if they would take half of their pay at the end of the month. You keep the other half, and whatever you keep, you give it to the bank. They'll give you something in return. It's like, wow. Okay, great. So I started putting that entire idea together like a portfolio. And it was one page, 2 pages, 3 pages. And I realized that I had created a plan with the inspiration of God for a new salary policy. So I would pay you now from the 15th of one month to the 16th of the next and continue. So you'll always have 2 weeks inside. But the first 2 weeks, I want to keep it. When I spoke to my employees, they had the trust in me to believe me, and they did believe. And I got that money and I went to the bank manager and I said, this is 10,000. I give them the 10,000 and they give me the first markup of what you call an overdraft facility. I'm telling you now, Anthony, that that word to me is an ugly word right now. 6 years time. That overdraft went from $10,000 to $200,000.
Wow.
And we started earning profits of over 1.4 million TT dollars per year.
Hmm.
The third lesson is that when you begin to achieve success, remember the process of the journey that you travel and how you got from where you were to where you are, and always be grateful and humble for the opportunity to have learned the lesson. Because by the time you achieve the success, is a better, stronger, more determined, more virtual you that is now able to handle the success.
Amen. Oh, what a story. What a story. That's quite a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I say amen. And also we have Rosemary Njagi saying amen. Now,
Wow.
Rosemary Njagi is a pastor. She's
Okay.
a, she is an established musician all
Uh-huh.
the way in coming all the way from Kenya. We
Okay.
actually met with her for the first time about 2 weeks ago uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Sweden, where there was a music concert. She'd gone come all the way to Sweden, and I had gone all the way to Sweden to officiate that gospel concert, and that's where we met. Now,
Wonderful.
Rosemary Njagi also has a story to tell, and so whatever it is that you're sharing, she can identify with what you're saying.
All right.
Yes, and I thank each and every other person who's watching us or listening to us, even when you get to listen to it or watch us after we are through. We appreciate your time, and we thank Andy for sharing with us his story. And what I'm thinking is that this is just one of those times that we are going to be here with you, Andy, because I have been with you for quite some time, and we've done several things. I've been on your podcast, and it didn't stop there. And I know that there's a lot that we can continue to share with the people here, and it's going to be impactful in their lives once they take some of the lessons that you could be offering us and apply it in our own lives. Now, yes, you talked about playing every other game with a ball in it. You talked about being a musician. You talked about writing. How many books have you written?
Okay, so I have written three ebooks.
Yes.
They're all on Amazon. Um, but I've also written one novel entitled To Lose a Dream. I would have written that between, I think, somewhere 2013 when I was going through something in my life. I can't recall exactly. I had been traveling as well at that point in time. I
Mm-hmm.
think there was sort of transition from one career perspective to the next. And I wrote that because I felt that I needed to express how some people can find themselves living a dream and they can still lose that dream because of how they mishandled the dream. So
Mm.
that came out on Amazon. Um, you can get it through Blurb as well because it's in hard cover and it's in soft cover. And then recently I did three ebooks, and the first one is Three Steps to Fulfillment and Happiness. The second one has to do with stand out or stick out in a crowd, the awakening, and the third one is Lost in Transition. So those are the three ebooks that you can find on Amazon.
Tell us a bit about the 3 steps to self fulfillment and happiness. Live your best life yet.
Yeah, there you
Because
go. Three
we
steps
are
to self
talking.
and happiness. Okay, this book is dealing with three steps. The first step is being able to accept who you are, love who you are, and believe who you are for what you are without any strings attached. That's the first step. You don't want to try and please the crowd. You don't want to try and walk in anybody else's footsteps. You don't want to try and imitate anybody. You just want to be yourself, but understanding who that self represents, being aware of that self and the good and the bad. There's a saying that goes around, and it's Sawu Bona. And what it means is, I see you and all that is about you. the good things and the bad things. But for now, I only see you and I appreciate you for who you are. So that's step one. Step two, understanding why it is that other people struggle with you being who you are. Now, that's a tough one because it means then that you have to take time out to focus on why people respond the way they respond or react the way they react around you. That's one part of it. The other part is being able to discover what can I do that I'm comfortable with that makes me fulfilled. And the part is never be ashamed of and also represent. It is yours. It is the most thing you've got, and it's personal to you. There's not a human being on this planet like you. You are the only there's not another person that has the same footprints and the handprints like you. The digital indentation that you have is you and you alone. You're unapologetic, unstoppable, renewable, indelibly created, wonderful, glorious human being. Just appreciate you for who you are, and nothing else matters. It starts right there.
Wow, it starts right there, and that's a mic drop. Yeah, I was talking about the three steps to self fulfillment and happiness by Andy Charles. Live your best life yet. So, talking about living a life of fulfillment, and Andy has told us quite much. He's told us quite much up to this point. And I don't know, but I feel that there could be a person here who's listening or watching us that could be going through a very hard time, because there is always that time that you face challenges. Can you speak to that person who's out there that could be going through challenges and is hearing us talking about living a life of fulfillment and is like, wow, what are they talking about?
Yeah, I would share two things immediately, Anthony. There was a time when I thought the innits FAIL meant fail always in life. FAIL, fail always in life. And then as time went along, I realized that life was not happening to me, life was happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it all depended on the perspective on which I looked at life, the lens through which I saw life. That made the biggest difference. Secondly, I had to come to the conclusion that whatever was happening outside around me, in the ecosystem surrounding me, I had no control over. But how I responded to it, that is what mattered the most. So I learned, thirdly, that I should live my life thinking about always being in the eye of the storm, despite the storm happening all around me. And I take this from the point of understanding that even though things may be happening around me that may not be in my best interest or in my best favor, results may seem to be going contrary to what I would expect or contrary to the seeds that I think I would have sown. All those things still don't represent the real me. I had to learn to separate the outside results from the beauty of the inner me. And I wonder why the camera is doing that. Oh, come on, technology, behave
I, I
yourself.
think I
This
think the camera wants us to see that background where you are.
device unexpectedly stopped. Okay, so it's back.
Okay.
And then finally, FAIL now means failing always in learning. Failing always in learning. And I say that to say this: Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
But on the 1,001 time, he was able to accredit himself with the patent for the light bulb. He never gave up. He kept trying. So life is like this. Imagine you're a mason and you're throwing mortar on the wall. Not all is going to stick, right? But
Mm-hmm.
some is going to stick, and the some that sticks, you need to do what you can do with it and forget the rest that has fallen off. Work with what you have right where you are. Start with what you have right where you are. And believe somewhere down the road, the rest will come. And even though the darkness may seem bleak, it is when the darkness is the darkest that the light that is in you needs to shine the most.
Wow, wow, wow. Do I have anything to add on that? You've said it all. You've said it all. You've said it all. And yeah, we really thank you, Andy, for being with us here. And as I said in the middle, we need to have you here again and again. And
Uh,
at this point, we are just going to let you go, and in the hope that you're going to come, because if we stay here a little longer, then we are not going to have you back. But before you go, I would like you to tell people how they can follow up with you if they would be interested in following up with you.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, great. So if you're on Instagram, then you can check Instagram slash Andy Charles 8417. My Instagram handle is Andy Charles 8417.
Hmm.
LinkedIn is linkedin.com in Andy A. Charles. LinkedIn.com in two forward slashes Andy A. Charles. YouTube, it's youtube.com at Andy Charles Dreamer, youtube.com forward slash at Andy Charles Dreamer. My Facebook profile, facebook.com forward slash Andy.Charles.393. Oh, you can go to my bio site profile, and I'm looking for it as I speak because I don't often use this. It's where you can get everything concerning Andy Charles and Andy's personal development. So it's bio site forward slash Andy's personal development. No hyphen, just straight words. Bio site forward slash or bio dot site forward slash Andy's personal development.
And it's
Oh,
actually in
you
the
know,
description.
yeah.
Hmm.
Or you can get me on Amazon. It's amazon.com forward slash author forward slash Andy Charles. There you go.
Wonderful.
There
Wonderful.
you
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Andy has said it all. Andy has said it all. And I always like asking our guests to leave us with few words that we should always remember. What is that we should never, ever forget, coming from Andy, in a few sentences?
Never forget that you are the most invaluable asset that God has placed on this planet. And He has given you one opportunity. The single opportunity that you have is to make sure that you give Him a return on the investment that He has placed by giving you an opportunity to be on this planet. So every day, be grateful, be thankful, and just live a life of health, happiness, and prosperity.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Andy, for everything, for that insightful time that
Yeah,
we've had with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, we've come to the end of today's show, and once again, we can't thank you enough, Andy, for coming and sharing with us all that you shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and we also thank all our viewers out there and our listeners, even those who get to listen to this or watch this after we are through. We thank
Mm-hmm.
we thank you. And yeah, just go use those words coming from Andy and live a life of fulfillment.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So that's about it for today. And we hope to see you sometime soon again, Andy. And all you viewers and listeners, we also hope to see you sometime soon and hear you sometime soon. And until next time, this has been Now Tell Us. And I've been your host, Anthony Mwerore. And together with our wonderful guest today, Andy Charles, saying bye for now. Bye.
Bye.